So next up we have one of our producers. You just saw her as our EMT Amber. Give it up for Amy Schumacher. He played Pete. Give it up for Jesse Posey. So you saw her as Selena. Give it up for Allison Patel. And last but certainly not least, our head makeup artist here. Give it up for Ashley Thiel. All right.
Thank you all so much for coming out and sticking with us and seeing the movie tonight and staying out on a Sunday night and coming on over and chatting with us. We appreciate you all. Thank you so much. You folks down here, you folks up there, thank you so much for coming out. We appreciate you so much. Thank you.
So now this has been quite the journey for you guys to get to this point. You basically made this entire thing in just a little over a year. So a lot goes into being able to adapt a beloved character into a feature film. So kind of tell me the process that took you guys to be able to bring Steamboat Willie to life in Screamboat.
Well, we started with the character more than anything else. We said we knew we didn't just want to take Steamboat Willie and throw him into a horror flick and see what happened. We knew we wanted to really do Steamboat Willie. And so we started there with the design and the concept and sort of drew the inspiration from the script from there. And right after we knew we wanted to do Steamboat Willie and really try to do the character justice, we brought on David Howard Thornton and started talking to him about how are we going to adapt this character and bring it off the, not off the page, but off the screen and bring him to life and have him be furry and mischievous and all the things that we expect from live action cartoon characters. So it really started there. And then once David agreed to be a part of the movie, that influenced every element of the script and how we were going to execute it and make sure that we weren't just doing a horror movie with a murder mouse, but that we were really doing Steamboat Willie and that he would be small and mischievous and funny and all the things that you would expect from that character.
Awesome. Now with the cast, so you guys have such great synergy throughout this entire thing. So while you guys are basically surviving this little murderous mouse chasing you all throughout the Staten Island Ferry, as a cast, how did you guys all gel together? What helped you guys be able to come together in all of those moments to bring out the terror but also bring out the comedy?
I don't know. I guess we just really fed well off each other. We have an interesting dynamic. Really fun to play off each other. I don't know. I think we all just got along real well and did what we had to do and felt good about it.
I think being on the actual decommissioned ferry really helped us a lot because the environment was there. We didn't have to pretend or feel the surroundings. It was actually there. And also in the casting process and in the auditioning process, we knew we could see, like, for example, Allison and Jesse vibing together. Their energy was so great. And then once we all came together, we could feel us click in. We are we're the three people that are like the voice of the audience throughout the film. So us being together, I mean, we had so much fun. We giggled, we laughed, we joked around. But also when we were down in the engine room, we were really in a creepy old engine room. We were really in a rickety, no, it's not rickety, it's actually in great condition, but like we were on a ferry. It was creepy, it was cold, it was, all of the things that the history feels in the wall. You can feel it there. So that, I think, also helped us as actors.
Yeah, and I think too when you're filming, we were there mostly overnight, so we were there at like 10 o'clock at night to like 6 in the morning and drinking fizzy lifting drinks out there, whatever those things, like just energy drinks. And I think when you're filming, it becomes a time warp. You really feel like you've been doing that for years somehow. It like totally just changes your perception of time. So we shot for like, 3-4 odd weeks, but it felt like we had known each other for years at this point and got really close. I think the work to me felt like the horror element of it and getting like the training and the imagination going, but the comedy was just naturally living and just having a great friendship with these guys.
So now you mentioned the night shoots. Night shoots can be strenuous going throughout that. What was the most challenging day that you guys had on set?
I can speak for my.
I can
for-
tell you,
Oh, there you
yeah.
go.
And
We're all
so-
like,
Yeah.
we're up to, which one?
There were a few, but when we had the most people, all the key background, those were the most stressful days for me, where I was just like, don't cry, don't cry, don't cry, it's fine, everything's gonna be fine. But then you get to see it all, and you get to like witness your hard work, and you're like, okay, it's just a blip in time. But yeah, I mean, for me, it was the heavy days that were the hardest, and then yeah, you lose track of day and night, and I was like, I would say something, oh, it was yesterday, wait, was that today? I don't know, because your circadian rhythm is just so thrown from these night shoots that something that happened technically the day before at like 5 p.m., but you didn't finish until 5 a.m. So
It was this morning.
yeah, it was like, wait, is it the
The,
same day?
the shoot we had where we sprayed the water on the big crowd
Mhm.
scene, I think was one of our more technically challenging days. We had the most people there that day. Getting power on a decommissioned ferry is a challenge, but getting water to shoot from a hose on a decommissioned ferry is like surprisingly challenging. But we also had a lot of people that day. As a producer, my character didn't play that day. My character also didn't play on the other challenging day, which was the day we were in the terminal of the ferry. And that was mostly because we were shooting in a live, normal, working, functioning terminal of the Manhattan side of the Staten Island ferry overnight. So we had no control. New York allows you to shoot. We can shoot there, we can be there, we can't set our stuff down on the floor. So we held all of our things, and we had tricks and all kinds of things, and also the people that worked on the ferry were really generous and kind to us, but regular people were using that terminal. So they're doing their scene, and there are regular people watching behind the scenes with us.
Just staring like this.
Yeah. So I think that day, because I couldn't predict what was gonna happen, as a producer, I couldn't plan for who's gonna be in the ferry, who are we gonna need to get security to come kind of remove, like what kind of people are gonna be there, so that was a challenging day.
I think for me, it was, which was also my favorite day, or one of my favorite days, was the day that I was dangling off the side of the Staten Island ferry, just like the logistics of it. That costume, I had a harness on under it, but it was sewed to my body pretty tightly, and it took like maybe an hour. It felt like it took forever to get the harness on under that, and then there's so much tooling that the people manning the wires couldn't quite find the harness under the costume. So that was, it was very, very challenging. And then we also shot the finale that same day when Amber comes back, and we were racing against, the sun was coming up at the same time, so it was like, we gotta be, this is the finale. So it was like the pressure of like trying to find that emotional, power, that power and that emotional ending and that button, and also knowing that the clock was ticking to get it before the sun rose.
And she's the only one rigged in, by the way, patched into wires and stuff. So like, oh, Allison can't hear you. Do you want to get closer to the edge of the boat so you can give her direction? And I was like, nah, I'm good back here. I'll just yell, and then she's super awesome. She'll get it. Sadder, be sadder. I'm gonna stay here because I have a fear of heights.
So if you didn't like the acting, it wasn't my fault.
That's right, it was my fault.
Here.
Yeah, that's what it is.
But there's a moment at the end when we're shouting down to Mateo, Rumi, and we're looking over the edge, we're shooting it. She has zero fear of heights, with clearly none.
Just fine.
And some of our crew also didn't, but I do. Not as bad as some of the people, but our wardrobe person, another makeup person, they're holding on to my pant legs because they're terrified. And we're shouting down, I'm like, you say, just keep swimming. And I'm like, oh, he's gonna need therapy. And we're looking down, and they're like hanging on to us on the floor, out of shot, and she's like flailing her arms around. I'm like, I can't move. I'm just gonna like look down because it's terrifying. It's so high. And then for some reason you have zero
No fear
of
at all.
that.
None at all.
Normal people do. It's very high. It was a funny moment. I hope that picture exists somewhere, because the entire wardrobe and makeup crew is like holding on to me, and she's like running around on the edge.
In those shoes.
You're a crazy person.
So one last question for you guys before we turn it over to you guys for some questions here. What was your absolute favorite day on set? Moment that is gonna stick with you forever? Aside from being held back from falling off the ferry.
Well, for me, it was definitely the day we did the Steamboat Willie sequence, or multiple days, because there's some days we're on the actual boat and we're using the puppet, and he's playing and he's holding onto the wheel and the wheel's spinning and there's wires and cables and puppeteers, but you look on the monitor and like it's really a little guy and he's really piloting the ferry, and that's awesome. And then we did it again with David, and he's moving his legs, and you know, I have the most famous image in animation history up on the monitor, and we're trying to match it with a real creature that's like an idea that I had years and years and years ago, and it's like right there on screen, and he's doing it and he's whistling and he turns his head and his mouth holds the shape, and you're like, oh my god, that's Steamboat Willie. That's something I'm never gonna forget, and seeing David do it was spectacular, and seeing the puppet really do it, and all the machinations and movie magic that goes into executing a shot like that just drifts away, and you look at the monitor and you're like, oh my god, that is a 3-foot tall mouse, and he is on top of a corpse and he is whistling Steamboat Bill, and I get to be a part of it. It's the best feeling in the world. So that one is, I'm never gonna forget that for sure.
Mine was sword fighting Willie on the roof of the Staten Island ferry, for sure. And that was a puppet day. But then we did it again at the LED wall in force perspective, where we're holding a really big version of the weapon, and he's there, and David Howard Thornton's like sword fighting, and we're trying to match it. That was those two. That scene's my favorite scene.
I really liked the day that we filmed at the real terminal. It was just really cool to be around like real New York people, and
Liked playing with the dogs.
there were dogs there that were fun to play with. And it was just it was nice to get off the boat for one day.
Mm-hmm.
For me, I mean, when you're in makeup, it's a different world when you're doing people's makeup. But what's fun is when you get to watch behind the scenes and you watch the scenes play out. And my favorite days were the days where it was these three and Cindy. I love the dynamic between the four of you, and like you guys would improv certain things here and there, and it would just make me, I would have to like cover my mouth to stop myself from laughing out loud to ruin the take. But those were my favorite, just because you could just see the chemistry between the four of you, and it was just fun.
Honestly, I mean, I did love the stunt day, but I really, like, there's some scenes I really found lovely. Like, I really loved the scene between Pete and Selena at the back, the lower level. 69, was it 69? Was it 39? Anyway, it had there was a scene name, a scene number, and I was like, 69. It like was like kind of later.
Definitely not.
It was 69.
It's
There
not.
was a 69.
No, we know it's
I'm
not.
100%
That is
right.
not it. Yeah.
That's a number. It's okay. We're all adults here. It was really, I just loved it, because it was kind of a departure from the screaming, running, it was just this cool human-to-human conversation, and it was, we shot it quite late in the schedule, and it was just a really cool thing, because we didn't know each other in the beginning, and then kind of built this great friendship, and then we shot that scene and I think it was sweet.
Yeah, and I think we worked on that scene for a while.
We did,
didn't we?
yeah.
I think the first time we met and wrote the ferry, we kind of talked it out.
Yeah, we took a ferry ride together in their actual Staten Island ferry, and we went to the lower level and just ran the scene. It was really cool.
Yeah, it was cool to like anticipate it, actually doing it for so long. It was cool to do it.
Awesome. So we've got time for a few questions from you guys. So just raise your hand and I can either come to you or you can come